Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Never had that happen before.
He's back.
Let's see. I do not know what happened. It's like my microphone working out either. All right. What is going on? Oh, man. Now, we back?
I can hear you now.
All right. So, I don't know if somebody with my microphone or something, but like we were talking about Coach Codutti, you know, where is Klein football to you at right now?
Where's it at? If you're a perfectionist, it's never where you want it to be. When I walked into Klein, there were, I remember walking the first day saying, God, there's some dudes in here. We're in the weight room and I'm watching some just phenomenal athletes. And, when you walk around, you see it and you're just like, I got to figure, this has got to learn how to mesh, right? We got to get all these kids, to mesh, buy into this new system, this new ideology. And, I think Klein football is ripe. And I think, that when people talk about, when they see an opportunity, they see a school that really has what it takes to be successful. I think Klein High School is that school. Heck, I think so much that I bet my career on it. So.
Yeah, you did do that. That was probably one of the biggest step bombs I've seen in a while. But God does everything for a reason, and He has a plan for you. Before you even made the decision. But Klein's a great place to be. You have athletes. It's still a growing area. Klein's already established, but it's still a growing area. Kids are moving in those districts and stuff left and right. Parents are moving and everything. But somebody just texted me. I skipped over, where you're at. How did you get to where you are now and all that? Let's go back to there.
Yeah, man. Anyways, I was in Missouri. I don't know if I got stepped off. So basically, I was the head coach in Missouri for 3 years. Did really well, man. I won a lot of games. Funny story about it. So my athletic director, his dad was the big, tall, white guy in Glory Road at Western Texas University, whatever it was. That was his dad. And so his son was my athletic director, and his son was actually my quarterback, who ended up throwing for like 6,000 yards his senior year. Absolute stud of a kid, man. But I was there for. So he's actually coaching, man. He's an athletic director in Southwest Missouri somewhere. I've told him 100 times. I said, if you ever want to come to Texas, I got a spot for you. And great kid, man. I ended up being all-state in football, basketball, and golf, and baseball. He was a four-sport all-state athlete. Just an absolute great kid. But my wife and I were looking at each other, and she didn't want me to go back to college. And at the time, we were sitting there talking, and it was one of those situations where, I was like, hey, we're not going back to college. What are we going to do? I want to make some more money. I have a new adventure. And so I actually met up with a guy named Kevin Flanagan. He gave me an opportunity at Beaumont Westbrook High School, and
were you there? Were you there the year they played Longview or the year before?
So I was there. Okay. So I was there when we played Longview in the first round and beat them. Okay. And that was the start of like that trajectory up, and we all knew it. We were all sophomores, had a bunch of sophomores starting for us, beat Longview in the first round, beat Lakeview Centennial in the second round, lost to Westfield in the third. But we knew that group was going to be pretty good. So I was there for 2 years. I was actually the co-DC my first year, and then the offensive coordinator my second year. When I came to Texas, I didn't want to be a head coach. Didn't even want to be a coordinator. I really just wanted to coach ball and go home. I had burned out from the head coaching role, and I had a lot to learn. I was a young dude. I had no idea what I didn't know. And, I posted something on Twitter and Facebook yesterday because I was asking, give me advice for some young coaches. What do they need to hear? And I gave some things that I did, but I heard some gems that, God, I wish I would have heard when I was 27 years old. Just stuff that just, Kevin Kelly said something, a lot of these big time coaches were talking about it. And it was stuff that I wish I had heard and stuff I had to learn. And so I went to Westbrook with Kevin Flanagan, learned a lot. We won a lot of games, left there, and then went to Tomball High School with him. And so I tried to get away from Lufkin after we played Lufkin at Westbrook, and somehow ended up with Lufkin in my district at Tomball.
Yeah.
And so, I was at Tomball for 4 years and got the opportunity to go to Fulshear High School. Fulshear had won like 7 games in 4 years. And, I thought it was one of those chances. You know what? This is a place that's going to kind of let me do the things that I want to do and do it the way I want to do it. And my rule is, as long as it's not bad for the kids, immoral or illegal, like let's roll. Let's have some fun. People take this game too seriously sometimes. And so left. I was there for 4 years. And then I'll be honest. So I think our last 3 seasons at Fulshear, we lost 1 regular season game in 3 years. It was unbelievable. Like just one of those runs you just can't make up. Like I remember looking at my coaches like, guys, we can't keep doing this. Like there's no way. Like we can't. We're not that good. We just kept winning.
It just all worked out. It was all planned because, like, I think y'all had last year, nobody had y'all making the run y'all made. The teams y'all beat, the things y'all did. It was crazy to watch those games.
First year in 6A in school history, and we go out and go 12-0 and beat Ridge Point, which was unbelievable. Beat how we won games. We beat Pearland on a 98-yard drive to win the game.
Was that what was that in district or in the playoffs?
That was first round. So our first game of the year was Pearland. Our second game of the year was Ridge Point. Heck, the fourth game of the year this year, we had to go to Hutto to play Burleson Centennial. And I remember I was scared to death, and I had called Chad, their head coach, who if anybody has the opportunity to meet the old head coach Geller at Burleson Centennial, he's now an AD there. Dude, one of the salt of the earth, classiest human beings on earth, and just one of those dudes that rolled up in a mechanic shirt, and just old school. And we ended up playing them, and the game got away. We played really well, but man, that was one of my favorite games because that dude is one of my favorite people in Texas high school football. Went through the district, pretty easily. I don't know how we did it, but we did. First round was Katie Paytow, scored I think like 60 points. I don't even know how we did it. Go to the next round, play Lamar, beat Lamar in the last few minutes of the game, and then we go to Atascocita and lose on a 4th down and 20.
That was crazy.
I'll never forget it, man. The 4th and 20 will haunt me forever. But there's a lot of mistakes that came up to it. I probably could have called some plays differently. I got roasted. I know I got roasted on social media. I'll tell you this: at the end of the game, I've never in my life heard people tell me I should have ran the ball in a 2-minute offense in my entire life, and I probably should have, but I did a disservice, and we ended up losing the game, and I was proud of those kids, but nobody gave us a chance, and nobody gave us a chance.
Do you think in the state of Texas as a whole wish they could go back and get 2 more minutes to do something different? You see it every week. It's like, oh, I should have ran the ball. Oh, I should have called the timeout then. Oh, I should have did this. I should have did that. But those moments build teams that play in Arlington for a state championship. They build coaches for those moments.
They do, man. And that's, you go through and you think about the games you won, especially those close games, and you're like, how did we do that? Like that was a great play. Like that was a great play call. Like, but if I would have called that any other time, I would have been an idiot. It goes back to the guy that runs the fake punt. If he gets it, he's the hero. If he doesn't, he's the idiot. But
you can't justify those moments.
No, man, you can't dwell on them. Yeah, for me, it's more about letting the kids down. I remember after the game, one of the best compliments I had ever gotten in my entire career in Texas was I had an old-time coach. I won't even mention him, man, but a guy that I look up to and respect with everything inside of me. And he looked up to me after the game when we had lost, and he sat there and watched our kids talk to the coaches after the game. And he goes, Coach, I'm going to tell you something. He goes, those kids love y'all. And he goes, that's why those kids win games. He goes, and he goes, Coach, I love seeing it. I mean, those kids were bawling and crying, and not because we lost, but because like that amazing ride that just, it was over, and no point in that game against Tascasita, who was a phenomenal football team, did our kids ever feel like they were going to lose that game. And it takes a lot for a bunch of high school kids to look at a team who runs a 39 in the 4x1 and, wins games every year, and they're a powerhouse. And our kids are just like, who cares?
But how many times has a Tascasita been on the other end of the stick?
Oh yeah, I mean,
they're always right there.
They're
one play away, one game away, and you look at their district, like they're battle tested.
Oh yeah, Summer Creek, North Shore, Kingwood. I mean, those are good football teams, man.
Those are great football. Those are all teams you see playing in December.
Yes, you do.
And I was that 2 years ago? You had a Tascasita, North Shore. Yeah, North Shore was in the state championship game that year when Summer Creek was there. No, they got beat.
Mm-hmm.
They got beat. Yeah, Summer Creek was there.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you what, man. Ridge Point might be one of the most talented football teams I've ever seen in the state of Texas. And I would not be shocked if they slip through and end up making a serious run this year. They walk on the field, brother, and it's like watching an FCS football team. You're just like, what? Where do these guys? Are they built in a lab? They're all just D1 kids, just great athletes, and you see those teams, you're like, man, look at these kids. Like, there's so many good athletes in the state of Texas. That's one thing I learned when I came down here is even the teams that go like 1-9 have a dude or two. Everybody does.
And, we talk about the state of Texas. You've had a chance to coach in many other places. What separates Texas from those other places? I know it's the talent and the athletes. Obviously, it's the state of Texas. We produce the best. But what else is it? Because I know the Friday Night Lights experience cannot be the same.
No, there's no place like it, man. And when I first got to Texas, and I remember my first game. We played Beaumont Central. I was in Beaumont, and there was 10,000 people this game. Like, I'm talking the whole city of Beaumont sold out. And I remember just looking around and just complete awe. Like, this is real. Like, this Friday night is real. But I tell you this. I would say the two biggest things, number one, is the athletic period. Most states don't have an athletic period at all.
And most coaches have a full-time job.
Oh yeah,
other than coaching.
Yeah, and that's the next thing I was saying is they're vested in athletics, not just football athletics. When I was a head coach in Missouri, I think I had 12 guys on my staff, and 8 of them didn't even work at the school. Like, my best defensive coach was the local sportscaster.
The local sportscaster.
Yes, but he was like an All-American, like 2-time All-American linebacker in Minnesota. Dude played in the NFL. Just a great guy. Wanted to get, but these guys, you give them a stipend and they come in and coach, and so there's some ebb and flow, some good and bad. But man, like, you have an after-school weight program, and you just try to get your kids in weights during the day, like PE, and pray to God you can get them all in there. But other than that, man, it's different. Like, they don't have that in other states. They don't have the athletic period. Like, I've got coaches here that are like, I only have 2 athletic periods in our conference, and I'm in 4 classes, and I think I should only be in 3. I'm like, dude, I taught 8 full classes when I was the head coach in Missouri, and was the AD, head football coach, and head track coach, and I coached the junior high in a school of like 1,500 kids. Like, bro, get real. We're so spoiled out here. It's unbelievable.
If anybody knows
we are blessed, bro, and people like the THSCA that continue to fight for the rights of coaches is, that is something that makes Texas better. It makes Texas great, and they fight for those rights and those abilities for us to be able to do things we do. So, my props to THSCA for sure.
Coach Codutti, what has made you the coach you are today? What has got you this far? You didn't have the desire to be an OC or head coach again, but what has got you to the point you are now? One of the top coaches in Texas high school football.
Oh man, I appreciate the compliment. I don't even know about that. I think I got luckier in to you know what?
Well, I'll
No,
tell you one thing. When I started the podcast, somebody that's very close to me, he is a coach in the state of Texas, just get started off, maybe like 4 or 5 years under his belt. And he would always be like, you go get him, you go get him. He was like, you got to go get Codutti. You got to go get Codutti.
entertaining. I say that. Man, you know, there's a lot of things. And I think what it boils down to is I learned 3 things about my life as a coach that has kind of guided me where I am. The number one thing is I was in Missouri and I burned out because I cared too much about what parents thought or what the fans thought or about doing things the way I'm supposed to do them or being status quo. And I remember sitting late at night and I came home one night, I'll never forget this, and I thought I had a heart attack and I had an anxiety attack because I'm getting phone calls from board members. I'm getting phone calls from parents and they're mad about this and they're mad about that. And I told myself if I was ever going to do this again, that I wasn't going to care about anybody but the kids and the people in my program. That's it. And as long as those kids know that I love them and those people around me know that I love them, I don't care what people think. And love me or hate me. And I understand, you know, it's easy to just to not like, but I care about the people inside my program and I care about the people that are going to benefit from what we're doing. And so that's helped me, right? Just do things the way you want to do it as long as you're doing right by these kids and you're doing right by the people around you. Like, who cares what the general public thinks? So that's helped me. Number 2 was finding my philosophy and who I am as a coach and believing in it. So one of my first interviews I went on, college interviews I went on, guy at Bronco Mendenhall actually asked me this, and he said, it's 3rd down and 1. You've got to run a play to win the game. What are you running? And I remember going, what formation? He goes, it doesn't matter. I said, okay. What defense? It doesn't matter. And I said, and I just kind of paused. And he looked at me in that little weird look and he said, until you can answer that question, you don't have an identity. And if you don't have an identity, your coaches don't have an identity. And if your coaches don't, your kids don't. He said, at that point in time, all you have is a collection of plays and some ideas. He said, when you know that answer and you can preach that answer and you can sell it to everybody beneath you, then you've got something. And I have probably taken that to heart, probably to a fault, because, brother, I found our identity. We are going to run Cobra. It is wide zone right, strong, and everybody in our program knows it, from the janitor to the secretary to the moms and to the kids. You can ask freshmen that come in, like, they know this is who we are, and everything is built off of that. And then I'd say the last thing, man, that's really kind of got me where I am, and this is kind of, you know, in its own mind, but it's about finding the people around you that are going to make you successful, right? The quote is, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Brother,
Very true.
yeah, there is no greater statement, because you will either rise to the people or you will sink to the people. And we have, you know, one thing that I have been blessed is I have been lucky enough to surround myself with probably the best freaking coaches on earth, and not necessarily football people, right? Just guys and women that they understand the vision. They understand that, you know, hey, Codutti cares about me and I'm going to do my best and he's going to back me up. And people, you know, like I have my assistant head coach right now is, you know, he was my junior high coordinator at Fulsher and has worked his way up to be my assistant head coach. But it's just a guy that, you know, he does things the right way. He does right by the kids. He's got my back. He's always going to preach the gospel the way it's supposed to be preached. And, you know, he's one of those guys that, brother, I can leave my kids with him in my wallet and I will never question twice what he's going to do. Right. But when you surround yourself with 15 of those kind of men, man, that's when things get fun. You know, it's about, you talk about the culture. You know, when you walk into a room full of men with egos and, you know, agendas because they want to be head coaches or offensive coordinators or whatever they want to be, But you surround yourself with those people and you're all on the same page, bro, that day-to-day life is one that I live for. And I am all about that life. And with that life comes the family that brings involved, right? Like, man, like my kids run around my field house. They run amok. You know, I had a coach, a new coach that I haven't had. He was with Klein before, and he apologized beforehand last night about sack camp. He's like, man, my kids are going to be around. They're going to be running around like crazy, man. I'm sorry. I'm just apologizing. And my first response is, bro, dude, that's what we want. Like, I want your kids running around. Like, I want your kids to feel comfortable, like walking up to me, giving me a hug, knowing that, bro, I'm gonna be the crazy uncle that gives them a lollipop and says, I'm home with you, sucker. You know, but I want that. I want that day-to-day life. And when you do that and you can start to balance those things, life's so much better. Like, bro, we don't. My coaches don't work on Saturdays. You know, we work for about 4 hours on Sunday max. You know, there's a balance in life, man. And I think a lot of people struggle with it. And I'm a grinder. I work, you know, but I'm not going to expect everybody to be like me. Get your job done. Let's get it done right. And let's be on the same page. And you got to be along. It's going to be a great year. So
That's the easiest way for people to get burnt out. Like I've seen it in all job professions. Am I echoing real bad?
Not really.
I've been sitting here trying to jack with this the whole time. It's about to drive me nuts. I've did 69 episodes and I've never had a technical issue, and I'm not the person to fix things like that.
You knew it was me, man.
But yeah, but like you see a lot of coaches, it's anybody, you know, it's easy to get burnt out. And just because you do something a certain way doesn't mean everybody's wired that way. And it doesn't mean that everybody's not getting their job done. They just go about it a different way. Like I have guys that work for me, and I would never do half the things they do, but it works for them. And once I was started to realize that everybody can't do things the way you do, they can't go about things the way you do, I got so much farther in my job. And it made my job easier just knowing, hey, maybe if I just trust this person and not, stay all in what they're doing, they're going to do their work either way. But 100%. This person might be more happy being here. I had a coach tell me this. They were working like all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And the head coach told him, was like, I have a family too, but this is what I do for a living and this is what I'm going to do. And the guy was like, man, I understand that. I respect that, but I have a family at home that needs me. And I give you my time during the week. There's no reason we should be up at the school for 20 hours on the weekend. And we're still losing.
Been there, done that, brother. Been there, done that.
And it's like, especially young coaches, like you see this everywhere. Like you have to have somebody to teach you work ethic, because everybody doesn't just come with a work ethic. Everybody's not as passionate about it as you are. But if you have somebody there in charge that is teaching you how to do the job the right way, then you start to learn to do the job the right way.
100%.
And you can't expect everybody to think the same way you think. Okay, this practice, we're having this Saturday, but it's not mandatory. But, I expect everybody to be there. But, such and such probably won't be there. But I don't know. It gets confusing because, everybody's different. But you should also just want to be there because that's your job. But some people have to be taught those things because they just don't know any better.
I think kind of as the years have progressed, you learn that if you give people the freedom and option, the majority of them and the good ones, they'll stick around. They'll do because they'll see what it looks like, right? When you're not forced, it's the old playground theory. The old research study, they said that if you put a fence around a playground, the kids are going to go to the fence, right? They're naturally going to go line up on the fence. But if you put a playground and you don't put a fence around it, the kids are going to naturally stay close, right? It's a protective thing. So when you tell them they have to be here, well, they're going to toe the line and they're going to, but if you tell them, hey, you ain't got to be here. You ain't got to be here. It's okay. What are they going to do? Well, I don't want to be the guy that didn't come. Well, yeah, you're probably right. I should show up. Well, he's not making me go, so I'm going on my own, right? And so it gives them that ownership in it. And they're going to just naturally move themselves and migrate to being into that role. And then they learn it without being forced into something. I think, the same way we coach coaches, the same way we have to coach kids anymore. Kids want to know why. Why are we working 12 hours a day? Well, brother, I can't give you the answer to that question, but it's what we do.
It's what we do, yeah.
So,
what's it been like for you? The acceptance at Klein, like the new guy on the block. How's that been for you?
You go anywhere, you're gonna have your ups or downs. You're gonna have people that are gonna fight change, people that are gonna want change. It's when you go to a program, one of the things that I want to look for is I want people that want the change, because I'm really not good with status quo. I'm not good with just doing things the same way. And so it's been good. I mean, the kids have been receptive, the coaches, the administration. Man, I have, probably one of the greatest principals on earth. She's a rock star, and she has been in my crazy mind and the things that I do, and I'm probably off the wall. I just look at her and say, hey, if you don't like it, just tell me, but I'm just going to do it until you tell me not to. And, she's told me no once. I mean, let's get real. That's phenomenal. And, so you've got things like that have been really good for me. But, for the most part, kids want it. The kids want to feel valued with authenticity, and so do people. And so if you make them feel valued, change isn't hard. This is the one thing I'll tell you I've learned, because I've been through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs now that we've kind of done the flip thing. People aren't scared of change. They're scared of what they lose with change. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
And once you figure that out, people kind of, hey, they're just scared they're losing their way, or they're losing this tradition. Once you learn that, man, navigating your way through change isn't as hard as you think it is.
And I think all the change that's going on, like in Lufkin and like different places that you like follow and pay attention to, it's gonna happen one day.
Yeah,
it's gotta happen. It's just how life is. No matter if it's age or if it's like replacement or anything out there, it's gonna happen. But one thing you have to realize is you have to give that person a chance.
Yeah,
they didn't just show up and remove that person.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just how life goes. And it's like, it's just a normal work life. Everybody goes through it, but you have to give that person a chance.
I think the majority of things that we struggle with are this. Most people have an opinion about somebody they've never met. And again, going back to my philosophy, I had a conversation with a coach who was really struggling because he felt like people were talking down about him. And I said, here's my thing. Does that person have your cell phone number? No. Then that person doesn't know you well enough to have an opinion about you. And if you're worried about it, then you're allowing that man to live rent free in your head. And he was just like, oh man, if you know someone personally and you have an opinion about them, great. But if you don't, have an open mind. You never know. You might actually like somebody.
And it's like you, for instance, you're the new guy in Klein. I'm sure that guys have heard the message boards and the previous parents and everything. Man, those last 2 minutes, if he would have ran the ball, we would have won that game. There's people out there like that. Like, I love to read message boards. I read them every day. And it's like from college sports to high school. And some of the things that amaze me is the parents and the players that are still at the programs, like their opinions on things.
Oh,
and
dude.
it cracked. Like we had a lady here, and all the changes that went through, and I'm just sitting there reading like Facebook of what she's saying and everything, and like all her facts were, all her statements were wrong.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like, what makes you think this? Like, you've never been on this stage. You've never had the pressure that comes with this stage. And like, I'm the world's worst about talking about coaches. Like, Texas loses the game, or Cowboys lose the game, it's just you're passionate about. And we all have the right answers. We all think we have the right answers. And I tell people all the time, I coach a mean game from recliner.
Oh, listen, brother, there's two things that every man thinks they're better than the next man at, and that's coaching football and barbecuing.
Those are my two right there. And it's crazy because like you have these takes, but like you're not in the moment.
No.
You know, you don't have that headset on. You're not watching that clock. You're not standing in that huddle. You're just sitting in that recliner with a cold brew, watching a smoker cook for you.
Yeah.
And having your takes, because that's me. I'm the world's worst. You know, like when Texas was playing against Ohio State, you know, we ran that toss to the left.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting there complaining about it, and I had a coach was there watching the game with me, and he was like, he gave you the front you wanted. If the left tackle whoever gets that block on that linebacker right there, that's a touchdown. I didn't see that.
Yep, you just see a bad play.
I saw the loss on the play, but like that's what people don't see. Like they don't see the little things, and like you know, since I've been doing the podcast, I get to talk to a lot more coaches, and like I don't know half of what I think I know.
You know? Neither do I, brother. Neither do I.
And it's like you know watching 7-on-7 this weekend. We were watching two teams play against each other. I can't remember who they were. We just walked up and started watching. And I was telling my friend, I was like, "Why did you run that route in and not out?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's a receiver coach. Obviously, he knows." And I'm like, "I would have ran the route different." He's like, "You got to give the receiver room to make the play on the ball."
Right.
And I'm like, I wouldn't have cared about that. You know, I'd have threw the ball to the sideline right there. He'd have been wide open. He's like, but there's a chance he wouldn't have caught the ball in bounds.
Right.
I'm like, I would have never saw that. And that's just like some of the things that like fans, parents, everybody need to learn. It's just like, shut up sometime and let them, that you don't come in my office and try to tell me how to do my job.
That's right. But again, that's why I had to stop taking it personally. Like, listen, if that stuff gets to me, I'm in the wrong profession. You know, I mean, do you know how many people talk crap about me? And I don't even know. But it's okay. Like, it's okay. I don't care. And you know what I care about? Man, that my daughters are running on the field on Friday night after a game with me. Or that, you know, 10 of my coaches from Fulcher came with me to Klein because they wanted to be a part of the family stuff. Brand. That's it. And that's what I care about, man. And
a funny story. I had there was a coach somewhere that people were talking about on a message board, and that coach came on the message board and defended himself. And that right there told me all I needed to know.
Dude, no.
Because if you're worried about guys like us on this message board that have no say in how you run your offense or defense,
no, man,
then you have a serious problem.
Or at least get a burner account, man.
Yeah, get a burner account. You know, like you gave us all that we wanted.
Oh yeah, now it's over.
It's over now. We got you now. We got you exactly. We look for people like that. To continue the conversation because we have nothing else better to do, obviously.
No, you're done, dude. You're done. Like it's yeah, dude, I understand. That's what I said, man. Like, who cares? Like I can't control what you say about me. All I can do is be me. And if I can walk in the mirror and look at myself and be like, you know what? You're a pretty cool guy. I'm all right with it, buddy.
That's all that matters. But Codutti, you say you coach offense, you coach defense. Are you an offensive defensive guy?
Man, I'm an offensive guy, brother. True and through. But I'm gonna tell you this, buddy. I just love ball, and I know it sounds so cliche. Yeah, I was this is a good story. I was at dinner with my daughter last night. We were eating sushi. We were talking about, her uncle, he goes hunting he's taking me hunting and stuff. And I was like, listen, like, I don't have hobbies. My hobby is watching film, watching football. It's cooking, it's working out. I don't have hobbies. Like, I mean, I'll give you an example. I used to have a YouTube channel, had like 700,000 subscribers, and it got shut down by Catapult Sports. That was my hobby. And then that got me involved. Like, I actually work for the NIL for Penn State to make videos for them, weekly breakdowns. So, like, I'll have one coming out this week talking about Drew Aller's feet and his mobility. And, basically all we do is we go off the algorithm of the message boards and find out what the hot topics are, and I break it down. That's what I do. I do it every week. But that's my hobby. I enjoy doing that stuff. And so Offense, defense, man, I'm game. I'm an offensive guy. I'm an O-line guy. I played O-line. I played O-line in the pros for 3 years. And,
You
you know,
played O-line?
350 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, baby.
What happened?
Yeah, I learned how to lose a human being off my body.
I need to learn it.
But it's but man, I love offense. I love the strategy. I love the chess game. For me, it's about doing things differently. Heck, last year, I don't know if you watched, we spent the majority of our time in the double tight dead T. Like that was that and like the empty no gun, the empty under center double wing. Like it was, yeah, we're like, who does that? But you know what? It was fun to figure out, do something new, find something that people aren't used to. And that to me, that's enjoyable, right? That's the enjoyable
It's like
stuff.
Liberty Hill. What do you think makes Liberty Hill line up in that god awful offense? I hate the word, but it works.
Because it works and because nobody else does it. Bro, we lined up in a double tight dead T and ran 2 plays for the majority of the year because nobody wants to deal with it because everybody's in the 7-on-7 world. When I was in Missouri, we were 5 wide, 5-foot splits, 2-point stances, and I didn't even have a running back on the roster. And now down here, I didn't play half my games without a receiver. You just do what you got to do to be successful. No offense, but I'm not lining up against a Tascasita where I'm at Fulshire and just playing, tick for tat. They're athletic. They're big.
That's a trap.
Yes. Trust me, I know. The Blaylock kid who I have mad respect for his old man. I talked to his old man after the game.
He's at Oklahoma.
He is, man. And that kid had 5 carries for 5 touchdowns against the first half. And we never touched him. Like I told everybody, I was like, boys, we didn't miss a tackle the entire first quarter because we never touched them.
Like as a coach, how do you go about that? Like that it's like you look at Lufkin 10, 15 years ago, okay?
Oh man.
And I like to talk about the 2012 season a lot because you have Kiki QT, Terry Mark, Kyler Henson, Jamal Jeffrey, all in your receiver core. And you have Tyler Stubblefield at quarterback that's a gunslinger. How do you and we had a run game. We had one of the best offensive lines we had in history there. How do you, as a defensive coordinator, plan for something like that? Because if you take away the run, they're going to throw the ball. If you take away the pass game, they're going to put their guys in space behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to put athlete on athlete, and their athletes are going to be better than your athletes.
Ask for forgiveness, say your Hail Marys, and praise Jesus, buddy. That's all you can do at that point in time. Hey, I remember we played. I was at Westbrook when we went to Lufkin, and we played and won 70-63.
I remember it was my senior year.
Bro, I
was in the stands, but
that was the wildest freaking game. And they could have won. Like they had the Hail Mary at the end of the game that the dude had in his hands. I remember that kid. He was a monstrosity of a human being. And I remember looking like going, guys, there's nothing we can do. Just pray. Just tuck your head between your legs, make a tackle, and pray to God that they drop a football. And we were the same way. Like it couldn't slow us down. You're just like, when you get kids like that, man, it's fun to watch kids that can play ball. Yeah, watching that task. Yeah, man, it's you watch that Tascasita game, and I'm like, yeah, that Blaylock kid can go. But man, that quarterback, that dude's special. What was his name? God, he just committed to Arizona State to play running back. That kid.
Yeah,
oh my word.
I was talking to a coach at the 7-on-7 state qualifier this weekend.
Yeah.
And he was telling me like this generation of kids are athletic and have the training and the talent and all that. But the football IQ is just so different. It's so like the kids 10 years ago, 3rd and 2. They knew that we're just going to toss the ball to our best athlete with the 2.
Yeah.
These kids are running deep down the field. The IQ is just so different.
Well, you got to think, man, how many of these kids watch football anymore?
None.
How many of these kids, until NCAA came out?
You're on mute. Oh, are we having another technical issue? I lost you. No sound. Can you hear me? What is going on? What about now? Oh man, I lost you that quick. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
All right, want to try. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know,
That's
man.
weird.
It might be StreamYard today.
So, but like these kids are watching TikTok shorts, bro. I can't get my daughter to sit down for more than 2 minutes and watch a TV show. She's got to watch a TikTok short. I'm
It's
like,
just got to do the dance.
oh, dude, I'll kill her. I can't stand it, bro. I can't stand. Hey, I've walked around schools and just taken videos and TikToks of kids making TikToks.
I was up there. We did the sideliners, our booster club football. We cooked for the spring game. We ran the concessions, and we're sitting there running and gunning. It's hot. We've been standing in front of this big pit all day, just getting smoked out. Tired as could be. And I'm standing at the back of the concession stand, and I got like two trays of turkey legs in my hand. And I'm like, hot, the pan's hot. I forgot my gloves at the pit, and there's like 5 girls standing in front of the back window we use, and they're doing a TikTok dance. And I was like, excuse me. They're like, hold on one second. I'm like,
yeah.
You're kids. I can't say what I want to say, but get out of the way.
Yeah. Don't get in the way of the TikTok, bro. Don't do that.
No, it's a big deal. And, like you said, like kids aren't watching football. They didn't have the NCAA to play. We talk about this all the time when we were kids. We didn't want to be Randy Moss and all these guys. We wanted to be the guys who saw Fridays in person playing.
Yes.
It was big to us.
But you got to remember, man, like, and honestly, those video games, especially NCAA, can be such a tool, man. I remember last year when that came out, I bought a PS5 for the kids at Fulshire, and we put in we were in the field house, and I would literally teach the kids football playing NCAA. And I would be like, hey, this is the scenario. What do I do? All right, here's the situation. What do I do? Okay. Hey, I ran this play. What do we? And then the kids that want to talk noise, I'm like, all right, boys, I'm going to play in some NCAA. I don't even play video games. Come on, buddy. Let's do this. Let me show you how to play. Let me show you what football is all about. And it's the most boring, methodical thing on earth. But I'm going to win because I can coach football.
My buddies will play NCAA. He's a coach, and I'll play with Texas or Michigan or somebody big. And he'll get like Charleston or like somebody that's Charles. Somebody that's really not that good. And the way he beats me is he gets in these defenses I would never call.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know it works.
You don't understand.
If I'm running something that he sees consistently, he'll switch his whole formation and there'll be a guy there. I'm like, how do you know this? He's like, you think you know ball, but you don't know ball like I know.
Nope. I'm telling you, man.
It blows my mind.
It's changed the game. NCAA is going to change. I think it's going to help kids. I really do. I've seen it help our kids already.
Coach Codutti, so, getting ready for August, it'll be here before we know it. What are some of the things that we can see different in Klein football? You don't have to get into scheme or anything like that. No,
man. Here's what I would tell you. If there's one thing that I'm gonna preach, it's gonna be how do you say this is it's about being, how do I say this politically correct? Yeah, that's my word, right? Politically correct. It's about being relentless in every facet of the game. This is not a soft sport. Football is violent. And I think that as a football team right now in today's world, violence can solve a lot of your problems on a football field, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. And it's not anything like after the whistle. It's not being dirty. It's just about literally physically punching somebody in the mouth over and over and over. And football has gone away from that. And, I always go back to the 1985 Bears. I go back to the Baltimore Ravens with Trent Dilfer as their quarterback. Dilfer Dimes wasn't exactly throwing dimes. You go back and you watch the games and you watch the Eagles play this year, right? How do they win games? They run the ball and they're physical. on defense, right? So what I would tell you is this, and our biggest thought process is to be the most physically demanding football team. I want people in the, for lack of better terms, to remember the night they played the Titans,
Yeah.
but that's what I want. That's the goal. In the district we're playing in, Klein Collins is physical. Tomball is physical. These are physical football teams.
Dude,
And
Tomball's offensive line is probably one of the biggest offensive lines I've seen when they played Lufkin.
oh my God, trust me, I know. I was there.
Yeah,
You know,
that was a Big Ten cornbread fed
yes.
offense.
And they're running wide zone down your freaking throat, and you're gonna like it, and that's what I want. And I want to bring that back. I want to bring that back to Klein. I want Klein, because you remember Klein in 2010 when they're running the freaking wing T and they're out there just oh yeah, buddy. And so there's a lot to be said about that. And so when you think of Klein football, my goal is I want that to be the most physical football team in the state of Texas.
Well, there's no reason y'all can't do it. They did it before. Why not do it again?
Hey, man. Hey, it's about a culture, right? It's about a culture.
That's all it is. Coach Codutti, something I want to ask you. What is different? Like, you got the coach in Southeast Texas. You got the coach in the big city of Texas. What is different from the kids in Southeast Texas, East Texas as a whole compared to the inner city kids?
Man, I'll be honest with you. Nothing. Bro, kids are kids. It don't matter if you got the rich white kid, the suburban kid, the inner city kid, the Southeast. Man, kids are kids, and they all have problems. But you have to understand that every kid has problems. Every kid wants to feel valued. Every kid wants to feel valued with authenticity. I remember people always ask, well, who do you connect with the most? Man, kids are kids. You find ways to connect with them. Certain neighborhoods and certain schools, they don't really need the scholarship like you need it in Southeast Texas or in the city, right? But at the same time, that suburban kid who may have money, he needs something. It may not be what that kid needs, but they need something. I would say the biggest difference is a lot of kids that are trying to escape their realities in bad situations. Those are the kids that they really need that family. They need that coach there to guide them through and get them out and help them do something great with their life. But man, I thought that, and then I roll into a place, where it's suburban kids, and man, they need the same thing, right? It just looks different, but it's the same thing. And so, all these kids want to look pretty too. You better get it right. You know what I'm saying? All these kids want to look pretty. And so that's our goal. I want these kids to understand, like, this isn't about you. It's about us. Right.
Are you against that?
What's that?
Are you one of those coaches that are like, hey, we're just gonna wear socks?
All right. No, all right. So here's my theory. My theory is this. I'm not gonna fight certain things. Kid wants to wear earrings, whatever. You want to wear wristbands, whatever. Okay. But here's what I'll tell you. When we started, like, I'm gonna make sure that you look good when you play. I'm gonna make your uniforms look clean. We're gonna get game day skins. Man, we're gonna have all the different color helmets. I think last year I had 5 helmets colors at Fulshire. 5. Yeah, dude. Game day skins changed the game when it came to that because it's cheap, right? It's just a cheap way to get a different color. And so we've got, I'm gonna give you 4 different helmet colors. You're gonna have jerseys. You're gonna look pretty. I said, but here's my theory. Your name's not gonna be on your jersey. Okay, because it's ours, it's us. But in pregame, you can wear a mirrored visor, back flap, gloves. I don't care what you wear in pregame. You can have your abs popping, you can have your belly popping. I don't care.
What about the shiesties?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right? So, but they can have all that. And I'm going to have photographers there and videographers there. And you can look however you want to look. But when we walk back in that locker room, those visors are coming out, that jersey's coming down, and you're going to wear our team colors, right? Because we're still a team. You're going to get your pictures for the gram, but when you're on that football field, it's business. This isn't about you. This is about us. But I'm going to give you your opportunity. Pre-game, you can look as pretty. You can throw your gloves up, whatever you want to do. And I'm okay with it, man. But when it boils down to it, it's still the business when that whistle blows. And so all that stuff comes off. So the kids get it. I get what I want. They get what they want.
And that's what I was going to say. I think that like this generation of kids, they think that they have to have those things to perform. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
a time where it was just those Nike Vapor gloves, some spat, a tag backflip or a Douglas backflip,
Yeah.
and that was it. You know, you take your
The
belt
neck
up,
roll, baby. The neck roll.
the neck roll. I remember that was it. But like being around these kids more and like they're so much more creative. They take their cleats that look like Gucci shoes and all those things, but like I think that people can like coaches can realize like if I give these kids this much, they're going to give me all of this, and that goes back to like the music choice.
Right.
We might not like it. We
Who
might,
cares?
you know, you're from the Northeast. You might want to hear Biggie. You know, you might want to hear classic stuff like that. But like, if I can give these kids that mumble rap they like to hear,
The mumble rap.
something I liked this weekend, we were in Tyler qualifier. Every time Amarillo lost, we won a game, they had a tent set up away from everybody. As soon as all the kids got there, coaches are over there and everything. Press play. And it was a different mumble rap song. Yeah. And those kids were so live when they played that song. And every time they came back on the field, you could see their energy. Like they were still listening. And like, I know that coaches are like, well, you know, we're a discipline program. We're not going to do these things. It works some places. Look at Katie. I think Katie looks boring as can be, but they win.
Dang right they do, buddy.
They win. They're going to run the ball on you. They're going to have 2 or 3 running backs that are going to run the rock on you. But it's, you know, different. Like those kids have been built up in that standard.
That's right.
You know, you go to different places and they don't have that same standard. They don't have their same identity.
And I think at the end of the day, when it's 3rd and 1, what are you going to call? That's your identity. So who cares what you look like? Don't matter, right? And I'll say this: we played a game this year in practice mesh jerseys, Schimmel practice mesh jerseys. True story. Played an entire game. Played strike Jesuit in them. Our kids, I said no drip because I was mad about something. I said no gloves, no sleeves, nothing. You're going to wear a mesh jersey and our game pants and nothing. And we went out there and just proceeded to beat them down. But you know what? By the end of it, the kids were like, man, coach, this is cool, man. It was coach, I wasn't overheated. Coach, man, it was comfortable. Damn, like, coach, this is bad. Coach, I like these. So I was like, yeah, man. Welcome back to 1995 all over again.
Exactly. And I don't get these kids. Like, I forgot who I was watching play last year. Lovejoy was playing somebody. It was late August, early September. And these kids came out with hoodies under their jerseys.
Yes, it's 100 degrees.
I'm like, they had the shoes on their legs. I'm like, you gotta be hot.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's the drill.
It is. Hey, man, it's about them likes, dog. It's about that Riz.
That's all it's about. Coach Codutti, it's been great getting to talk to you tonight. I thank you for joining us on Live from the Time. Definitely got to do this again. I'll make sure to send you some pictures next weekend when I'm in Bucks County. I can't wait to get up there and get back.
Oh, man. Get you a real cheesesteak. Get you a real cheesesteak, baby.
So there's this place in New Hope. I can't think of the name. It's a sandwich shop. Actually, he makes everything. So, you know, in East Texas or wherever you're at, fried egg, bacon, mayo, or jelly, cheese. So I go up here and we got breakfast sandwiches. Like pork, I think it's pork roll or pork belly.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, we don't eat that back home. So I get Italian sausage, pesto, little marinara sauce on there, and cheese, fresh sourdough bread,
bro,
egg on there, avocado, I believe. I mean, it was one of the best sandwiches I've ever had.
Man, you're making me hungry, bro. It's dinner time.
And yeah, it's like I can't wait to get back up there and get that because it's like the food is just so much better. Like I love barbecue. I love fried food. We all do. We live in Texas, but the food on the Northeast.
Hey man, when there's a lady in the back who's got the big arms and she's cooking back there for you, and her name is Nona something. Yes. You know life is good, baby.
And she's in there rolling her pasta fresh vegetables.
Bro, listen. We used to own a little place, man. And my grandmother's name is Olga, and my grandfather is Enzo.
Okay.
Trust me, dude. Yeah. I'm all about that life. Hey, My daughter is 12 years old and can roll homemade gnocchi for me right now if I ask her to.
That's amazing. The
That's a good
best place.
Italian life.
Hey, you either gonna go to Olive Garden
Oh,
or you're gonna go to our nicer Italian restaurants. Don't even care.
what?
Yeah,
It's like eating a pillow. You come on, man.
like our nicest Italian restaurants don't even carry in love. And it's like some people are like learning what a vodka sauce is.
Oh, see, this is why Coach Asbeck's got to live in Lufkin and not me, buddy. I just can't do it. He can have that life.
Well, Coach Codutti, shout out to Klein. We wish y'all nothing but the best. The goal is to try to get you back on the show this year before the season. Hopefully, we don't take as long as we did last time. But we're going to make it happen. It was definitely worth the wait. I'm sorry about all the technical difficulties. We've never had that happen. I don't know what happened. I can't control it. I can't fix it. So we're just going to have to roll with it. But I thank you for coming on Live from the Pines. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to our guys at Zilker Belts. They actually have a belt with Klein colors. You need to look into it. I'll send you the link. Pines 936 discount, 25% off. Also give a shout out to our guy, Little Malcolm at Really Having. Shop Really Having. Use discount code HAVENFAN for 50% off your purchase. Shop Really Having on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. New limited edition hoodies out. I don't know what it is, but these kids love to wear hoodies in the summertime. The first thing I did when I got home from the office, I put shorts and flip-flops on. I was burning up. I don't know how they do it, but they love it. We were at the 7-on-7 tournament. Kids get done playing, they're putting hoodies on. Yeah, like, why do you have a shiesty on? It's 98 degrees outside.
And you smell. And you know you smell.
You got to. That shiesty probably hasn't been washed since October, November.
You can have it, buddy.
But thank you again, Coach Codutti. We'll make it happen again. If you haven't followed us yet, go follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, everything. Go give us a follow. Thank you again, Coach.
Appreciate you, boss. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.